That right there is the sound of a very complicated relationship. It's the sound of a pan you see everywhere, in perfectly curated farmhouse kitchens or Michelin-star chef shows, and in your grandma's kitchen, where it's probably holding up a pile of newspapers. They call it the forever pan, the heritage pan, and the safest pan. And they're not lying, they're just leaving out some inconvenient truths. What they don't want you to know is cast iron's dark side. It's that side of you staring at this ridiculously heavy hunk of metal, thinking, did you make a mistake? And today, we're exposing the 7 dark secrets of cast iron. And then I'll explain, in spite of all of this, that I'm still a card-carrying member of this crazy cast iron cult. All right, dark secret number 1. Cast iron is not non-stick. You heard me right, or at least not right out of the box. Even a new pre-seasoned lodge needs a few rounds of seasonings before it can perform the best. And then you see those eggs sliding around a skillet like it's a freshly zambonied ice rink, and you're like, I gotta have that. But you're not looking at reality. You're looking at a peak performance moment guided by an experienced cook. And it was probably filmed on a 60-year-old skillet seasoned by 3 generations of bacon. That super slick surface is a result of seasoning. And no, I'm not talking about salt and pepper, even though salt and pepper is great on everything. Think of it like trying to paint a masterpiece on a surface that actively hates you. The scientific term is polymerization, which is just a fancy way of saying burning oil on metal on purpose. You can't just slap on one thick coat and call it a day. To truly build a non-stick surface, you have to apply a thin layer of oil on it and bake it. And then you have to do that again and again and again. Each layer slowly builds a durable shell. And until that seasoning is fully established, your food's gonna stick. And it's gonna stick with the fury of 1,000 suns. That first pancake isn't breakfast, it's a snack for the dog. The truth is, your first pan surface is sticky. It's got the properties of duct tape, and everything you do is just gonna be sticky in the beginning. The next dark side is weight. The sheer, unapologetic weight. This isn't a pan, it's a dumbbell with a handle. Forget cooking, you'll get a workout just carrying this thing to the stove. It's less of a kitchen tool and more of a self-defense weapon in the kitchen that you can also cook cornbread in. A standard 12-inch cast iron pan weighs around 8 pounds. The big ones, they can easily top 12 or even 15 pounds. And go ahead, try to do that fancy one-handed chef flip thing. You're more likely to sprain your wrist than flip that omelet. Pouring hot grease or sliding food onto a plate becomes a two-handed affair. And washing it in the sink feels like wrestling with the greased alligator. And if you have a fancy glass stovetop, you feel like you're in constant terror. One slip, and that's $1,000 and an awkward call to your landlord. Now, throw out everything you know about cleaning pans. Cast iron looks at how you clean your other pans and laughs. It has its own set of diva-like demands. Now let's bust the big myth. Never use soap. Yeah, that's mostly a myth. Unless you're using soap from the 1800s, modern dish soap is just fine. But the real nightmare is the post-dinner ritual. It's not a pan, it's a high-maintenance pet. Step 1, scrape out the gunk. Step 2, wash it fast like you're in a Mission Impossible movie because you don't have time to soak it. Step 3 is very crucial. You must dry it with fire. Put it back on the stove like you're summoning a demon. Step 4, anoint it with oil like you're putting a toddler in bed. And for that oil, you ask? Yes, Crisco is just fine. The pan is needier than a golden retriever in a thunderstorm. And if you skip even one of those steps in this secret ritual, you'll meet the 4th dark secret, the rust monster. Think of your pan like a gremlin. You can't get it wet and walk away. Leave one drop of moisture or leave it in a humid cabinet, God forbid, put it in the dishwasher. And you will return to a pan coated in orange tears based on your failure. Now, a little surface rust isn't a death sentence. You can scrub it off with a little steel wool. But guess what? When you do that, you just scraped off all that seasoning you just started working on. And you're back to square one. And that's your punishment for getting stuck watching that cat video, and you have to start the process all over again. Cast iron is always pitched as the healthy or the non-toxic pan. And it's true, there are no synthetic coatings. But it has its own little weird quirk called iron leaching. The pan is literally flaking off microscopic bits of itself onto your food. For many people, this is a good thing. Nice little iron boost. But for some people, this is very dangerous. Think of it like a peanut allergy. Some people have a condition to where their body hoards iron. For them, cooking on cast iron is like telling a shopaholic there's a 70% off sale. Their body takes in too much and it becomes a genuine health risk. So the healthy angle really depends on your own biology. That seasoning layer isn't just for non-stick. It's a shield, but it's a shield that wears down over time under attack. The sixth dark secret is cast iron is reactive. Simmer some pasta sauce, glaze with some wine, maybe a squirt of lemon. You've just launched a tiny acidic assault on your seasoning. A well-seasoned pan can handle it for a while, but over time, it's just going to break down. When that happens, your food starts reacting to the iron. The result, you ask? A very metallic taste, just like you've been sucking on a handful of pennies. Okay, here's the secret that's going to get me blacklisted. You've heard it a million times. Cast iron heats even. Well, friends, that's a bold-faced lie. Cast iron has excellent heat retention, meaning once it's hot, it stays hot. But it's terrible at heat conduction, meaning it's awful to get the heat spread out. When you put that pan over a burner, you'll get a raging hot spot right over the center while the outside's still cool to the touch. It acts more like a branding iron than a heating blanket. And to get that even mythical heating, you're gonna have to preheat it longer than 30 seconds. We're talking 5 to 10 minutes. You've got to have the patience of a saint. All right, so I've told you this pan is a heavy, needy, rust-prone, food-ruining dumbbell. And you're thinking, why in the world would I choose this life? The answer is simple. Have you seen the alternative? Your typical pan is coated in chemicals like PTFE, the forever chemicals. And they never break down in the environment or in your body. And when that pan gets scratched or overheated, those chemicals can get right into your food. Cast iron, it's just iron. The non-stick surface is made from oil. You know, food. I get to build it myself. And if I mess up, guess what? I can just do it all over again. I'm not scraping mystery flakes into my eggs. I choose cast iron because it's honest. It doesn't hide flaws. And that insane weight, that's durability, baby. My grandkids will probably be fighting over this pan. And that maintenance routine is the price you pay for a surface you can trust. And when you want to do what it does best, put a crust on that steak that'll make a grown man cry, well, you just can't compete with that. The dark side isn't that cast iron's a bad pan. It's that it's not a magic pan. It's more like a relationship. It demands commitment and effort. It's a tool, and like any specialized tool, it takes a little skill, a little knowledge, and a little effort. And it's not for everyone, but if you're willing to embrace all its quirks, it'll leave you with a lifetime of delicious food. So what's your cast iron horror story? Or are you a diehard fan that thinks I'm a little crazy? Let me know in the comments. And if this therapy session was helpful, then do me a favor and hit that subscribe button.